Hello everybody, Walter here. Welcome to episode 22 of the Let's Play series for Satisfactory 1.0. In the last episode we started mass producing some basic items like copper wire and iron plates, and today I would like to continue with the production of some computer items. But before we can get to that point, there's a little bit of work to do, so with that in mind, let's quickly jump back into the game and have a look where we left off last time. And here we are. Now, first things first, I am not entirely happy yet with how the floor in this area and also over there looks like. The main issue I have is that the factory itself is already on stilts, and then I have this steep raised foundation, and I just think it looks a bit stilted. So I think I am just going to raise this floor here to slightly below this concrete layer here, and that should make for a decent road and parking lot in this area maybe. So let's give this a try. First let's get rid of that, then I'm going to need frame floor. That goes there, then I can grab the foundation and put it in here, and that is exactly 4 wide. That works out nicely. Then let's see if I do. Yeah, that looks good. And if I were to put one of the ramps in there, can still go up there nicely, make my way over, and then down and up. Yep, that should work. Now for this front part here, I will need a wall, I guess. Like so, and then I will swoop this over. And then the concrete wall. So. This needs some kind of railing, I guess. So let's see. Modern railing. Still a bit plain. Maybe I might actually use this. Yeah, that looks actually pretty nice. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And it also has the great advantage that I now can get rid of all of these here. And that gives me nice access to the bottom with all of the conveyors, so I don't have to worry about where I'm running those through. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, over here I would like to add one more thing, and that is a splitter inside of the concrete line, which will go directly into a dimensional depot. Why did I use a merger? The splitter. So. Now, the dimension depot will go up here, and let's see if this works. So, let's say I put that in there. And then... Wait, why are you not connecting? Is this the problem with the different heights? Okay, that's a bit annoying. But I have already a good idea how to solve that issue. So, for that, I am going to need... What do I want to use for this? Let's go with that for now. So, 2, 3, 4. So, base foundation. And now, if I put this in here, yeah, this still looks through the floor. This is good enough in my opinion. Yeah, now it connects. Okay, and then I can put my dimensional depot on top. Container. Depot container. This is the one I'm looking for. And then this needs just to be moved in the correct spot, I guess. Is this good enough? Or can I go one further? Yeah, let's go one further. Yeah, this is looking very good indeed. And now I have my concrete, so I just need to make the setting here. And I think this looks pretty good. Now maybe I might want to use normal concrete dough for this. Because that gives me an idea of just running a little border around the corner here. Then maybe I want to raise the railing a bit. So, let's grab the railing again. Yeah, that looks pretty nice actually. Although maybe I am only going to need one of these. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Okay, so now let's just quickly put down a map since the last research has finished. And put the next on start. Okay. Yeah, I think this looks way better than before. And yeah, now I'm just going to continue with this floor a little bit further in this direction, and I might actually want to also add a little bit of decoration in this general area down there. And that's looking much better already. It's pretty crazy how much just a little bit of decoration can change the look of a build, if you ask me. Anyway, in the meantime, I finished with the last available scan, as you can see. Yep. So it's time for some more garbage recipes. And the first one I'm going for is the fine concrete, which basically wastes quartz or silica to use less limestone. Now, it might make sense if you have silica as a byproduct of some processes, but usually it's not really something I would use. Then let's continue on. Quick-wire cable, caterium wire, both replace copper with caterium. So yeah, there are some situations where it might make sense, but usually not really. Then iron wire can be quite useful if you don't have any copper, but that is not the case for me. Then we have the bolted frame, which wastes resources just to be a bit faster. Similarly, the bolted iron plate. And both also use screws, so a double no, basically. Then we have again a recipe that replaces some copper with caterium. Then two recipes that boost the production with rubber. Might make sense under some circumstances, but usually not really. Oh, and I apparently missed the leached caterium last episode, so yeah, why would you want to use sulfur for that? Then let's continue. Let's see. Oh, why would you want to use wood or charcoal? It doesn't make sense to automate the entire process since, well, wood production is a manual process. And, oh, I apparently missed in the tempered caterium too, so yeah, waste of coal in my opinion. And I think that is a good spot. Oh, let's also grab the turbo heavy fuel. Might be a decent recipe if you don't have the turbo blend fuel yet. So, and that should be enough recipes for right now. So, next up on the agenda, before we get to the actual factory, is dealing with this railway here, which comes from the power plant and the aluminium facility. And this railway over there, which comes from the oil processor. And I think I'm going to build the oil processor train station here, and the other two train stations over there. So let's get started, and yeah, while I'm here I might as well also put down a proper water extractor for my later production lines. So yeah, that should be enough space for a train station, and now I just need to get started. So the first question is the height I want to build this, and I don't know what. if I go just a little bit lower, like so. I have a decent border, I have some light on the outside. Yeah, that might work. I will have to go just a bit lower though. And 2 out, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that should work. So, now the next question is... Let's see. Rails and then platform. And the question is... you know what? Let's go with the end rail platform. Would that work? So if I move the rail down to here, then went through here, 180 and then back. Is that enough space for that? Yeah, that should be enough space. I don't need the limestone from here, so that is also not an issue. Yeah, let's put that in. Then I will need a total of 4. And then last one. Like so. And that aligns relatively well with the side here. Let's check. Okay, how much are we over? Ah, okay. So, doesn't align perfectly, but well enough, I guess. So, then, next up, I need to figure out how I want the rail to go. And I think rail comes down, goes along the outer side, does a 180, slightly over the water, goes through here, and then re-merges with the railway before it goes up again. That might be a good way to do this. Yeah, that should work. Okay. That means I need a couple unloaders. And one here. One here. And one here. And then I can also grab... I think that's in the oil processor still. My quarter curve. And put that in position over here. I will have to go a bit down. But basically I put then a... Oh, come on. A quarter curve like so. And then another one here. And then on the other side I have something like an S curve. And yeah, that is, I think, a good way to go about this. So let me very quickly finish with this railway station here. And there we go. As you can see, the railway is now properly connected to the train station, and all of the 3 conveyors here, plus also the water extractor I added here on the side, are now all running below my refinement facility. Further along and over here, if you give me a second, you can see that we have the outputs. So here we have a full Mark 6 belt, or at least once I have it available, of plastic and rubber, plus a little bit of fabric, and then over here 1 water extractor worth of water. So now, before we get started on the second train station, I think it's time to make my way over to the oil processor and get the train started. And here we are. Now, let's get started with the train that is already waiting inside of the station. And I haven't really done any timetables yet, so let's start with the main processor and then the hub. And I think I don't need to change anything beyond that, so yeah, now we have our achievement, and let's turn on the self-driving. And if I've done this correctly, it should... Yeah, it's pretty slow, so it should stop pretty soon and then get loaded. Okay, we have stopped. And now the crates are placed on top. Okay. I'm curious what happens when they can't unload properly. Not sure. We'll have to see what happens there. Okay, this is now done with loading. And it's on its way. That is exactly what we want to see. So now we can set the... Oh, actually, let's first remove the train I came to this point here. And now let's set the second train. Although I don't really think I need two of those. You know what? For now I'll try with just one train. And if I need more, I can simply add another one. Okay, so that is now done. That means that next on the agenda is getting rid of this setup over here, except for the oil extractor, because this is where I'm currently building or producing my computers and high-speed connectors. And the factory I plan to build today will do just that, plus a bit more. So this here is no longer needed, and I can get rid of all of this here. And there we go. Now I just need to wait until the leftover materials are all sunk. And then I can store these here into a temporary storage at the main base. And then we can get started on the second train station. But before that, let's actually have a look at what the train station here does when some of the containers are still filled up a bit. Haven't seen that yet, so I'm rather curious myself. Okay, already some differences. Okay. Grab the whole thing. Okay. And they are a bit faster, so the sequence stops at the same time. Very nice. Okay, good to see. Well, now as I said, I just need to wait a little bit until this here has been dealt with, and then we can worry about the second hub train station. So, on the way back to the hub, I noticed two little oversights in this area here. For one, I kind of forgot about the two pipes for the nitrogen, which simply stopped at the top there. Now they are at least leading below the foundation and a little bit further. But the second one is a bit more annoying. I apparently forgot to actually connect the steel ingot facility. So that is the next step. Making my way over there. Getting rid of the steel pipe and beam production I put in there temporarily. And, well, replace it with a proper connection to this facility here. Also, those two canisters here, or containers here, are for the computers and high-speed connectors, as I mentioned before. Furthermore, I'm currently considering waiting with the second train station until the next episode, as the materials they will provide are not needed for today. So, once I have dealt with that, I guess it's time to directly get to the next proper factory. And a few minutes later, the steel is now properly flowing and also being turned, as you might be able to see, and also here, into steel pipes, and somewhere at the back there into steel beams. So, next up on the agenda is starting on the next factory, and for that, the first step is actually clearing out this area here. So we will have to get rid of this production line, the space elevator and the hub. We will also have to move this out of the way, and sadly we'll also have to get rid of the entire aluminium production here. Fortunately enough, we already have our aluminium facility in the swamp, so that is not too much of an issue. And a good while later, this is now all cleared up. I also went ahead and already removed the no longer needed water extractor, as well as a couple miners and various other connections. And now, I for the moment have my hub over in this corner here together with the MAM, which is already done with research again. So I think I'm going to unlock at least the recipes I'm going to need today, right now. And the first one I'm going to need is the insulated crystal oscillator. Adding rubber to use less resources is, in my opinion, a good idea. Then we have the silicon high-speed connector. Again, uses some less resources. And then the last one is the plastic AI limiter, which reduces the amount of copper I need by a lot, and I already have a lot of copper that is needed for the copper powder, so that was rather important in my opinion. So anyway, let's see. I think there were a few more I could grab. So rubber concrete, as I said, is a somewhat garbage recipe. And then we have, let's see, yeah, the coated iron plate. And then the insulated cable. And I might as well grab the fertile uranium. Now this is actually a pretty useful recipe under certain circumstances, but as I'm likely not going to go that deep into uranium production, it's not really important for my playthrough. And then I think that's about it for today, with the research at least. So now, as I said, it's time to get the outer border marked out, so we have a rough idea of how much space we are actually going to need. And it turns out that the storage system here is actually in the way. I do need a little bit of the space here, so I will have to also get rid of part of the storage system. Now, most of what is being stored here is already being produced in this factory, or will be produced in this factory here, so I don't really need the storage system anymore. I'm later on just going to put down some of the dimensional depots and call it a day, I guess. For the others that are still only produced in this area, I might want to add a temporary storage container somewhere in the vicinity. But for now, let's clear out this area too and finish with the outer border. And half an hour later, this is now finally done. I have my outer border in place. I also moved some of the materials I might need in the future into those boxes here, and the rest is currently being sunk. Furthermore, I got rid of all of the production lines down here, since they were only feeding into the now removed storage. Which leaves us with the second layer here, producing things like heavy modular frames and motors. All stuff we're going to need in the future, I guess. Furthermore, in case you're wondering where the doggos went, well, they now have an outdoor and much bigger enclosure over here, where they have lots of space to run around and to be happy in, I guess. And yeah, with that, it's time for the actual factory. So let's start over here. And for that I need a... Let's actually go to the side so I can fly. And then I need a raised floor, so I can put down the module here with 8 assemblers. So let's see, the 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's the correct spot. And then I think I need to rotate this around. Yep, that looks good. That's the second module, so I now have 16 assemblers. And now I need to go over there, because we need 26 and actually a little bit beyond that, but that will be handled via overclocking. So first I need another module with 8. And that's already spaced perfectly. And then I need another module with just 2 of those. And now the question is, how do I want to space this? Yeah, I think I'm going to just put this in there. I'll play around a little bit with the foundations, but for the most part this is now done. And they will all now produce, all 26 of these will produce circuit boards with the standard recipe, so that is going to require a lot of plastic and pretty much, or almost all of the copper sheets I have in storage, or well, is being produced by the refineries. So, yeah, the next part is just connecting all of this here to power, interconnecting everything, and as I said, grab the plastic from there, and the copper sheets from there, and feed it into these assemblers over here. And here we go, everything is now properly connected for roughly 200 circuit boards per minute. I did have a little bit of an issue with my copper sheets, since I apparently mixed up 2 of the water pipes and they were not getting the amount they needed, but it is now also fixed. Furthermore, I have put down a couple dimensional depots over here and also in this corner over there to grab some of the materials I'm already producing, so I'm not really at a loss concerning the storage I had to remove. And now it's time for the next few modules, which are going to have 4 manufacturers each. And just need to make sure this is properly placed. That's looking good so far. And yeah, now I just need to add a few more of these modules, I guess. It looks good. And then we have one more. And now I need to wait until the dimension depot has stored a bit more of those quartz crystals, I guess. Now, how is this going to work? Again, I can just connect the power wire between the modules. And at the bottom, I just need to connect, as usual, the inputs and outputs. Even if I'm likely not going to need all 4 of the inputs at least. But I don't know which ones I would use in the case that I need less. So, now what am I going to produce over here? Well, I'm going to produce the insulated crystal oscillators. Now the quartz and the rubber I will grab from basically all the way over there. And the required AI limiters I will produce later on in this corner here, so we will have to wait with it for a little bit. For now, it's time to put in the last 3 missing modules, interconnect everything, and also connect it with some power wire, and yeah, then we'll have to continue over there. So here we go. I also used the time to already add an entrance all the way at the back there, together with a priority power switch, basically the same I did for this factory building at the back there. Now, next one again. Let's grab an 4 times assembler module, or 8 assemblers in total. And then I just need to make sure this is in the correct spot. Yep, looks good. And now the recipe I'm going to use is the plastic AI limiter, which uses less quick wire and plastic instead of copper, which is quite an advantage in my opinion. So now those will get their quick wire from there. The plastic will be basically the overflow from the circuit board production over there. And yeah, then I just need to run the AI limiters into the input of my manufacturers. And then I can have my overflow over there, together with some of those crystal oscillators we then can finally produce over here. Of course, it's going to take a decent amount of time until all of these manufacturers here have been filled up with AI limiters and I actually start seeing any overflowing at the back there. Nevertheless, it's now time for the last few modules, and the first one I'm aiming for is again a double module at the end of this row. And then next to that I have a normal module, or a single module, with just 2 manufacturers. And that fits in perfectly, just as if I had planned for it. I will have to do a little bit of detail work in the ceiling, but besides of that, this is pretty much just as I had imagined it. Now, what am I going to produce here? These 2 are going to produce high-speed connectors, or silicon high-speed connectors, The quickwire is just overflow from to the right. The silica I have already more or less prepared somewhere in this rough direction at the back there somewhere. And the required circuit boards I will grab from, well, the circuit board production just in a row before. And these 4 here will actually produce just normal computers, no alternate recipe. So circuit boards, again from before. Plastic is just overflow from some modules in the vicinity. And cable I'm going to grab from this belt there, which I already prepared more or less in advance. Now I only need 3 manufacturers in total for that, so these 2 here I will underclock to 50%. And of course then the usual stuff like power connection and the outer walls. And a little bit of work later, the factory is now running smoothly and without any apparent issues. I also already went ahead and brought all of the materials I haven't used yet, plus the various overflows, to this corner here. So I should have a pretty simple life later on when I start building the next factory. I also put down a few more of those dimensional depots, so all of the materials I now have available are actually put into storage. And with that I think we've reached a good point to stop with this episode here. We now have a proper industrial scale production for computers and high-speed connectors, plus some other stuff. And in the next episode we're going to build our next factory line in this area over here. And that brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share and comment. It really helps with the algorithm. Independent of that, I wish you a nice day. And well, see ya.